Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where we talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season finale of Blindspot. Great episode, a great season finale. A lot of interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Obviously, I'm going to be talking about both episodes. I'm going to try and go in order, but I'm probably going to end up being all over the place, so I'm letting you know ahead of time. But obviously, just starting off with the first episode. Okay, so Dominic's kind of enacting his plan and everything. And this episode reminded me of a lot of stuff, I guess because it's been a little while since Blindspot, so a lot of it was kind of like lost from my brain, like the whole Kurt and White situation. It's like, right, he's blackmailing you about the whole Jane situation, and then there's the whole Kathy situation, which, you know, we'll circle back around to that soon enough. But it's like, I'd completely forgotten about all that different stuff. It wasn't until Dominic was texting her, I was like, right, you're dating. I forgot that was a storyline and everything. So there's that. And obviously it puts, you know, Kurt in this very compromised position, because it's like White's is covering for him. It's like, oh yeah, he went to see her because of me. I gave him the A-OK. And like, obviously Reed's kind of being like, oh yeah, there's something a little fishy here. Jane, you know, ends up finding out later on, because Reed comes on and be like, yo, is there something going on with Kurt and White that I should know about? And she knows that it's about her, but she decides not to say anything. She actually brings it up to Kurt later on, like, we should tell the truth. Like, but for Kurt, it's like, if this comes out, it's not just going to be about Jane. It's going to ruin their lives, sure. But what's going to hit even harder is the fact that the rest of the team is going to be culpable with it, and they're going to end up taking the fall for the whole situation. Obviously, that has heavy impact. We'll talk about that soon enough, like I said. But it's a situation of, like, obviously they track down Barry. Barry, you know, it turns out he was in there with Keaton. Keaton actually knows who Barry is, because Barry actually was a former CIA agent. Granted, he didn't know that was who he was going to find, but it's just a long, winding road of many different things. It turns out the dude he's working with in the CIA, Nash, turns out he actually works with, you know, Madeline. The thing is, it doesn't seem like he's necessarily being blackmailed. It's kind of the same thing, because White's kind of references it later on of like, oh, you're going to help me become president. It's kind of like, it's too late past that. But I'm sure it's like Nash gets a very nice bonus and position to be in, as long as it means he works for Madeline. So it's kind of a win-win situation, which we do see Madeline kind of get brought in for interrogation. Obviously, you know, Tasha and Reed are obviously trying to handle things their way, but then obviously Kurt comes in later on and kind of bulldozing it, because for him it's like, the sooner they deal with this situation, the sooner White gets his promotion, and then he can be out of their hair and they don't have to worry about this anymore. But obviously this situation is sadly just fueling Reed's suspicions even more, because now he feels like more and more like everyone around him is keeping secrets. He literally just had to deal with this with Tasha, and now he's dealing with Reed. I mean, dealing with it with Whites and Kurt. And then the whole thing with Keaton gets kicked off the job and being like, yo, the fact of the matter is, Nash did this to me. I'm sure, you know, he put the seeds of doubt. Like, the seeds of doubt were already there for Reed. They just started growing even more, because Keaton put in his head of being like, be careful who you need to trust. And obviously, like, Keaton's about to shake Tasha's hand, but he hugs her and everything. He's like, am I about to be played again? And Tasha's like, whoa, what the hell, Reed? Come on, no, we're good. Like, you know, I got your back. I literally told you no matter what, I got your back. He's like, do you really? And it's like, oh man, it's not even just Kurt he's suspicious of now. Now he's even bringing, because to be fair, it's like he's taken steps for it, but there's still a part of him that's always going to be on guard with Tasha, and that's the sad thing, because he can't 100% forget everything. So this just makes him go like, well, how do I know you're not playing me again? And it's like, no, it's not like that. But you know, one of their only leads to this whole situation was Barry, but he died in the attack and everything. Keaton getting blamed and kind of being shipped off to a different job. Now, that might play a point later on in the story that, you know, I mean, not necessarily this finale, but that could be something going forward in the future we could potentially see. But the entire time this thing is happening, you're like, what is Dominic planning? What is Madeline planning? Well, it turns out it's like, oh, this might be about a virus. At first, they're thinking, okay, this is a biological virus, but it turns out it's actually a computer virus, and it's about attacking the power grid. And this power grid obviously controls the power of the U.S. At first, it's about wiping out the U.S. the eastern side, the eastern board, like, power grid. And it's like, okay, but beyond that, it's like, what is Madeline, what is Dominic planning and all this? Even to the point when it was all said and done, Dominic literally sacrificed his life just so it's a situation of like, that way he can't be in a position where it's like, oh, I'm going to talk. It's kind of sad. He even sends a final message to Kathy being like, I love you and stuff like that. And part of me was wondering before, it's like, is that real? Is he just using her? It's like, no, they legitimately fell in love and stuff like that. It's like, oh, star-crossed lovers, star-crossed psychopaths, you know, to a certain extent, but still. Is that crazy situation of, I guess there's someone for everyone, you know, so I also do love the fact is, like, obviously we know White's is kind of a scumbag, but he still says stuff in this episode that you're like, yeah, when he's like, come on, I need to win. And they're like, you need to win. He's like, I mean, us here in the U.S. need to win. And it's like, I love that. I mean, because he even admits it later on to Curry. He's like, what are you talking about? The fact of the matter is, I admitted up front, like, I have dual reasons for wanting to do this. Obviously, it's the right thing, plus I'm a benefit from it. But because Kurt was pissed too, because it's like, the fact of the matter is, you keep, put me in this position. This is actually your fault, because this is all about all the stuff you did. He's like, well, the fact of the matter is, this all started with your wife. Kurt was like, basically, keep my wife out your damn mouth type of situation. And it's like, because that whole thing of like, well, your wife is the terrorist in the first place. She slipped back into her terrorist ways and stuff like that. But then he tried to be like, you know what, Kurt, I'm sorry. We both said some things we don't really mean. So we're not enemies. We're on the same side here. So, and obviously there's an element to this I think is kind of, sad in the whole situation too, that it's something that pops up in both episodes, and that's the whole thing about Kurt feeling like he's not there for Bethany. The fact of the matter is, she's even asking Allie, like, where Kurt is, and for him, it's like he doesn't want to be away from her because he's already missing so much time with her. That's already come up before, and obviously, it's a complicated situation to be in. It just kind of makes you question, what's more important. And obviously, Bethany being there for his daughter in his daughter's life is obviously more important to him. So, obviously that's the thing that him and Jane have obviously been discussing beforehand. So, but obviously, sadly, with everything that plays out, it seems like Madeline wins because the power grid shuts down. Power starts going out all across the city, obviously all across the Eastern Starboard. So now it seems like she won. And then it's like, okay, so what is this all about? We're not understanding it. But then, like, things get bad because Reed found out about what Kurt went to Hearst about, and it's like, oh, I figured everything out. The fact of the matter is, you did this for your wife. You knew what Whites had done, and you were covering up for his. Like, the fact of the matter is, I was protecting my wife, and I was protecting this team. And he was like, the fact is that, is she pointing at Jane, calling her a terrorist and stuff. It's like, yo, Kurt was in the wrong, but you were in the wrong for doing that too. It's almost interesting, and this is something I made note of when I was watching the episode. It's almost like Reed kind of shifted back into who he was back in season 1. Remember, he was super against Jane back then. It's like over the course of the series, season 2, well, parts of season 1, season 2 most definitely, he really had a shift on how he felt about Jane, and obviously kind of looked at her as part of the team, part of the family and everything. Obviously, we clearly see that in everything. Literally there for your wedding and everything. But it's like, the sad thing is, under these circumstances, because for him it's like, you're crossing the line. He did some bad stuff, but you're protecting him just because it means protecting Jane. And it's like, yo, but going as far as calling her a terrorist and everything, especially because that wasn't even her, that was Remy. But because he's heated, he brings that up. Like, him and Kurt's it gets heated. Things get worse because it turns out, oh, Kathy's connected to this, and you have Patterson and Rich being like, okay, and admitting, yeah, we met her a couple days ago, because they lied to Rich they lied to Reed being like, we couldn't find her or whatever. And it's like, wait, he's like, you gotta be kidding me. It all comes out, dude. He's pissed at Rich and Patterson. And then it's like, okay, we're going to go to Iceland to track down Kathy, because that's where she's running everything from. On the flight, that's when shit gets real. Reed's up there being like, because like Tasha's like, okay, yeah, what White did sucks, but we both know what, Kurt did. It was out of love. It's like, this team needs a little more responsibility and less love. And he's like, the fact of the matter is, the Kurt Weller I know would have never done this. That right there, and I think that's the beauty of this scene. That's some season 1 Reed response. The way he was acting like this, it's almost like, oh, like she's back to being some stranger he's sticking up for and everything. It's like, ever since we got mixed up in all this tattoo stuff, and she's like, you mean when I joined the team? And he's like, well, basically like, hey, it is what it is, right? The fact of the matter is, you're not part of this team, you're not an FBI agent. It's like, yo, what the fuck are you saying, Reed? And she's like, oh, I guess I wasn't there to kind of save your life all the time. It's like, that is super messed up, because it's almost like you're undoing everything. It's like, because it's just like one string pulls on another, and it's like then he goes after Patterson and Rich for being part of the 3 Blind Mice and stuff like that. And then, Tasha's like, well, we need to keep this calm. And then he throws Tasha under the bus. Tasha's like, I knew it. you weren't okay with what happened. And then she's like, basically, he's like, the fact of the matter is you sat there and let Madeline and handled all that stuff when Madeline murdered people. She was like, I didn't just do it for her. Now I was like, yo, because the entire time I was like, man, is Reed the only one on the team who doesn't have any dirt against him right now? And the moment Tasha brought that up, I completely and utterly forgot about the Jones situation. Obviously, that wasn't necessarily on Reed, that was more so on Freddie, but it's still that situation of obviously he was there and he let Freddie die. I'm not Freddie, but he let Jones die. So that's that whole complicated situation. Let's also not forget there's also that twist. It never kind of, well, went somewhere, but obviously that led to him being hooked on drugs and everything. But obviously he kind of hooked up with Freddie's ex. That's a whole thing in itself. Not important, but it's just, yeah, I almost forgot where he was on a downward spiral around that time. And, Tasha had his back and everything. And it's like, yo. And that's the sad and messed up thing. Like, the entire team has dirt. And then it all hits. Everything has been part of Madeline's plan. It's like, Jesus, dude, this is the longest con ever. This could be comparable to what, Shepard and the whole Sandstorm operation could be. Like, obviously it's not as deep, because, like, the whole Jane situation went deep, wiping memories and stuff type of situation with the whole Remy thing, but this is on a whole new level, dude. Madeline's been planning this. All this dirt she's gathered on everyone. There's evidence showing that, the bribe that they gave to Kathy to get her to leave them alone. It's like, oh, this is for your wedding. And it's like, nope, that money's being used to point out, like, oh, you guys are connected to this whole situation, kind of making it seem like they were working with, Dominic. And then, it turns out, what did Brianna do for him? Because I figured it's like, oh, it's going to be something that puts, Kurt in a bad light, Kurt or Jane in a bad light. Turns out, hell yes, because I figured it'd be something afraid of, I didn't know what. She took Kurt's gun, and Dominic killed a whole bunch of people with it, and now it looks like Kurt did that. It's like, Jesus. And it's like, oh, he killed Dominic to cover his trail. Everything about Jane, everything she did is Remy. Obviously, everything connected her, like, joining the FBI in the first place, everything Sandstorm related, that's all coming back. Obviously, everything with the three blind mice is being thrown at Patterson. Tasha, obviously everything she did, it's like, oh, the CIA and the FBI worked together to basically implant her, to frame me. Oh, she killed, because they killed Crawford in cold blood, then Blake and all the HCI Global people. It's like, yo, this has been a long time coming. Basically, their entire past, obviously the kind of shady manner, which, like, obviously they got the job done. They were always on the right side of things. But because of the circumstances around this team having so many secrets and just, like, obviously Jane's checkered past and everything, it kind of all being used against them like that. Just as the team was falling apart, they fall apart even harder, because it's like, dude, this isn't good. Okay, we got to run, until we can clear our names. But even Jane's like, there's no coming back from this. We are that screwed. Like, they're planning everything on us. Even saying this terrorist attack is a part of our situation. Rich is staying inside the FBI building because he wants to try and, fix this whole thing. Because if he can and get the information needed, it's like we can clear our names and we can stop Kathy and unveil this whole plot. Whites is trying to kind of help out in his own way too. I love the whole thing of them, like, jumping from the plane. That was pretty dope. Parachuting out. They meet up with associate of his, Ice Cream. It's like, oh, Ice Cream. Ice Cream turns out to kind of be a dick, because there's many things that had to be set up about Ice Cream. For one, it's like he wanted those paintings, and Rich was like, I don't have those anymore. Boston kept those as an insurance policy, a get out of jail free card. He went to jail. Obviously, those got confiscated. Those are gone now. So, and it's like, okay, we'll go along with it. Ice Cream's like, good. If I find out you're reneging on this deal, I will kill all of you. So it's like, okay, check. That's going to be an issue in the future. Maybe not. We'll see. But now it's like they're trying to stop the hack. But when they do sneak into the building to try and do that, lo and behold, it's been set up. So now it's not just spreading across the U.S. It starts going across, hitting London and stuff. It's like it was meant to be worse. And now there's footage of Patterson and Jane and Kurt there. It's like, dude, this could not be worse. This could not look worse, because it also turns out the payments, because he apparently paid off the ransom trying to help and everything, even though he was told not to. Well, it seems like Kathy spread those funds amongst fake accounts set up by the team, and so now they look even more guilty. This is the greatest frame job ever. Now, everyone associated, all the bad guys in this situation are pieces of shit, and they suck because this is our heroes. These are the characters we follow, and we love them. But obviously, you gotta admit, this is a pretty genius fallout plan. It's so sad too because like obviously everything went down. Like Kurt was like, we aren't family, we're just people who work together. Me and Jane, we're family. And it's like you can tell it hurt, even Patterson to kind of hear that and everything. It's like Jesus. And even Kurt and Jane being like, we'll hold off, who kind of cause enough of distractions, you get out. And she's like, no. And they're like, no, we'll be better off knowing that you're out there, that even if something happens to us, we'll know you'll be out there, and that's okay. I do like that, Jane immediately goes like, okay, we got to hold these people hostage and everything. Kurt kind of goes with it too. And I love it. It's almost kind of cute. And he's almost like playing the victim in there. I mean, not the victim. He's playing the criminal. He's like, okay, give me a vehicle. It was like a helicopter or a plane or something. And he's like, also food. What do you people want? What do you want? You're hungry, huh? They want pizza. And he's like, also get like a vegetarian side or something. Or was it vegan side or whatever? Vegan cheese. And then you see kind of Jane kind of smirking and everything. It's like, I love that they're kind of like, even under these circumstances, they're kind of enjoying it and playing it up, being the criminals and stuff like that. So that was crazy. Sadly, Rich ends up getting captured, and White's was kind of like, no, you and me, we're the same. But it turns out they're not, because he sells out Rich. He isn't helping. I mean, he's trying to help in his own right, and this is something interesting, because I was wondering if the blackmail that Dominic was using against him, it seems like that was never in play until now. Like the evidence that Dominic had got against him, like about like, oh, the drone strike he had did to cover up the stuff, his own involvement, stuff like that. It seems like that's only being used against him now for the first time. Also, I hate Madeline's lawyer. Oh, he's so squirrely, and I loved it when they kind of got him last time, but now it's just he's back and he's squirrely and shifty. You're like, ooh, I hate you. Once again, that's part of being a good villain. It's like, and Madeline played her role magnifique. She's so damn good. And I just love, like, she's always been kind of like, she seems like she's a bit crazy, but now we kind of see a little more complexity to like her not just being some straight psychopath. It's like, no, there was a long con, there was a plan here, bits and pieces of like this whole thing was all about Helios, and now we finally found out what Helios is about, because the entire time she kept bringing up her dad, and it's like, okay, what's this got to do with anything? And she's like, oh, this is just like, me and you, she was saying her and White, it's like me and you here, it's just like my dad and J. Edgar Hoover. And I'm like, what does this have to do with anything? It has everything to do with it, because that's what this has been about. She's trying to destroy the FBI, because for her it's like the FBI destroyed her family. Like after her dad met with J. Edgar Hoover, like he just bailed out of his steps towards the presidency. He was just kind of like essentially a mix of medications and stuff like that. Kind of seemed like he was depressed and committed suicide, and now it's that thing of like she holds the FBI responsible. It's like even White's being like, these people had nothing to do with that, like these people have families too. And she's like, I don't care, they work for the FBI, you run the FBI, you're just as responsible. It's like, it's so interesting because she seems always so calm, cool, and collected, with exceptions, but now we see like it almost seemed like blind rage like came out at that moment, like to see her true colors in that moment. Like she puts on this calm, composed look, but that's what that's all about. Then the fact of the matter is, White is up there publicly apologizing on television, kind of denouncing the team. Madeline's kind of running an oversight to the whole FBI now, so she's in a position where she can either kind of shift everything to be what she wants it to. She basically wants to destroy the legacy of the FBI, because the FBI basically, in her mind, destroyed her family. Now, we don't know everything that's associated with that, but still to go this far to take down a government agency just because, because for her it's probably like, it wasn't just J. Edgar Hoover, it was the FBI itself that probably pushed and broke her dad to the point that pushing him towards death. So her hatred has been running deep. Like that. I mean, when you think about it, that's where everything has been leading to. Her entire appearance in this show, like even everything with Crawford, things ending the way they did there, because obviously that's being used against the team as well. And it's like, Jesus, this is the longest game ever. And you can tell Brianna's starting to feel bad too, because it's like she kind of she helped set everything in motion. Granted, it was to protect the people she cares about, sure, but still. And then, like, there's the whole situation where, you know, obviously, like, everyone managed to escape and get back together. And it's like, yay! I love that, too. Even as complicated as it is, the moment they see each other and they're okay, they hug it out. And it's like, yes! And, you know, it's like, the fact of the matter is, if we're going to do this, we're going to have to do this together. Like, it's all in or not at all. And it's like, no, we're in this together. You know, I was wrong earlier. We are a family, and that's how we're going to face this again. I'm like, yeah, you guys are a family. You know... And I love, like, obviously all the different IDs and stuff. And then, like, Kurt looks at Patterson. It's like, you actually use your real first name. And she's like, it doesn't matter what I use. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. I love that. That's constantly like a little joke in a show of, like, Patterson's first name of, like, no, let's not go down that route. Which, let's not forget, her dad is Bill Nye the Science Guy. That's going to get complicated with her being, like, a wanted criminal and everything. Dude, and that in itself is what I also wanted to kind of circle back to about the Keaton thing. Like, Keaton could be their ally because he's like, nah, no, I know you guys are being framed up. I know Madeline's behind. So he's probably still going to help them out, especially because he knows Nash is on the take too. It's like, no, like, I'm going to help however I can. I think White's, you know, to try and make up for having his own part to play in all this, because obviously his ambition kind of got used against him in this regard too. Like, to be fair, he ain't directly involved in this situation. He played his own part in all of this. Like, yes, he's a very, like, opportunist person, but at the end of the day, Whites does have, you know, it doesn't seem like he has some backbone, but when the time comes, you do kind of be like, he's kind of an asshole sometimes. He was definitely one at the beginning of the series, but I think he's easily grown on us now, and he definitely, I've talked about it before, he's grown on me a lot, and I think, you know, because of that, I'm still believing in him, because you can tell he felt bad about the way things kind of ended with Rich. So now it's like, okay, and it seemed like Rich was getting taken to a boat. I'm like, yeah, him being bagged like that, it's like, that's probably like a black site where they're planning on torturing him to kind of, you know, find out where the rest of the team is potentially. It's just like, oh, jeez, it's just one thing after another. But then, you know, I did like that joke of Reed being like, oh, we got to get matching tattoos. Jane was like, no. But sadly, you know, we see at the end a missile drone attack comes and hits, because it's like, oh, there's no arresting them. This is where it comes down to. Jane was luckily outside. I believe, you know, either Whites or somebody was able to kind of get in contact with them early, because we know that connections were made to ice cream, and that led to connections to finding out where the team was. But I think somehow they got, they found out, or either we're going to find out the strong strike did hit them. I believe that they got out, like, they are alive, they're not dead, but either they got caught in it but they're not dead, they just got really banged up and they're just fortunately still alive, or someone got to them in time. Maybe Reed, maybe Rich did, because maybe it's a situation of Whites did help him out at the last second, we just not aware of it. I don't know. There's a lot going on with this situation, and it does not look good. I love the way they set this up, too. It's like, hey, guys, we're probably going to have to do good to clear our names to make this all right. We're probably going to have to do a lot of bad a lot of stuff we're not going to be okay with. But once again, it's like, we have to decide if we're going to do this or not. And dude, it's like looking at the team as criminals now, that's going to be next level. Blindspot has been renewed for a 5th and final season. Dude, with the way things are playing out now, you can definitely see this being, once again, it's the thing that kind of gets tossed around, and you kind of have to use this term now, endgame. Holy crap. Once again, it's just like the thought of like them next season doing criminal stuff, working to kind of clear their name. Basically going to have every government agency in the world coming after them, people they once thought of as friends. They might have to turn to enemies. I wonder, will we see certain enemies that they've made over the course of the series kind of being allies, like you know, like a Hearst or like, you know, boarding type of situation. I doubt it, but still, obviously, like, what about Rich? They need to connect up with Rich. Obviously, like, everything with his criminal connection, this is kind of like the best time, you know. So to be fair, they'll be able to get into a lot of doors now because people are like, oh, you're former FBI, right? Yeah, but now you're kind of wanted criminals kind of all across the place. So I mean, to be fair, this could work in their advantage because, like, now everyone's going to think they died in a drone strike. All they got to do is help fake that. So once again, it's going to be interesting to see, like, how they're going to go about clearing their names. Like, dude, getting revenge against Kathy, because Kathy's also going to be pissed because, you know, her love Dominic is dead. I'm sure she's going to lay low, too, because I'm sure Madeline is going to go after her. And I think that's probably going to be a plot point, too. Madeline's probably going to kill Kathy because she is the last straw. Like, she, you know, Madeline doesn't do with, you know, loose ends. And Kathy sure as hell is a loose end. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's almost going to be like everything that Kathy's done has been all for nothing. She did it for love and all that, I'm sure. Also, you know, petty revenge as well. But I'm sure that's going to be a line from her potentially. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting, too, because that means, like, literally, potentially, nothing next season will have anything to do with the tattoos. That's going to be weird to actually think about that, because that's always been, like, a focal point of the show, but this is all about their survival, so we don't really need the tattoos now. Not unless we end up finding out some crazy stuff of, like, some of the secrets that on her tattoos could potentially help them take down Madeline, or at the very least, they can take advantage of the tattoos to take down some bad people, score up some money, get the connections and power they need to take Madeline down. I don't know. That'd be really interesting if something like that ends up taking off. But obviously, like, the whole conversation about, oh, everyone's lives, like, you know, Kurt's got, you know, his baby girl. This is going to complicate things on that front. Let's not forget Jane has a daughter, even though we haven't really circled back to that storyline since last season, you know. So it just, everything is extremely complicated. I brought it up earlier. Let's not forget Patterson's dad, Bill Nye the Science Guy. He's definitely not going to sit idly by when we're like, whoa, you're calling my daughter a terrorist? Not going to sit idly by with that either. But it's going to take one hell of a miracle to kind of pull this off, clearing their names and taking down Madeline. I mean, once again, because this is going to be some, like, heavy duty stuff, like, because it's like everything you do from this point on is going to be tacked on against you. It's all going to be about clearing your names, sure, and it's also going to come down to how far are you willing to cross that line to clear your names and take down Madeline. That becomes a big question as well. I'm so excited to see what this 5th and final season has in store for us, to see this whole story come together. I would have never even imagined, really, it would never cross my mind to think that things would end up this way, you know? That this would be kind of how we end up potentially wrapping up the story. Like I said, I'm very excited to see what next season has in store for us. Some other slight things to kind of bring up, too, I just thought about, too. Well, for one, let's not forget there's the whole thing of Rich, you know, trying to help Patterson out with the whole adoption thing. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm wondering, is Patterson even going to, I'm sure that's going to come up. Like, obviously, that's not going to be the easiest thing to kind of recover from. It's like, oh, you're trying to adopt kids. That literally happened last episode, and now you're literally labeled as a terrorist, you know? So it's like, there's that. But we also kind of see the silver linings of, like, hey, even though there's a complicated situation of everything that went down, it's like, hey, potentially Tasha and Ree, like, you know, it's like, come on, guys, get the damn together already. It's been long enough. Like, you fought this for so long. Get it over with already. Be together already. Jeez. So, like I said, you know, we'll ultimately have to wait to see what the final season has in store for us. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. To the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.